Hello, America. It's Thursday, and that means it's Barry and Will live. So much to talk about today, Will Johnson. Haven't seen you in day and a half. But now,
Thereabout.
but now we can talk about the debate and who won and why, and some of the points that were made, and some of the stuff that's going to be sticking in people's memory, at least for, couple of days since nobody seems to have a long-term memory anymore. I
Hmm.
got to tell you, as an overview, these guys were, I swear, they sounded like buddies, that had served in the Senate. Everybody in the Senate's really cordial, and people in the House of Representatives hate each other. And the Senate has that sort of friendly, we're buddies even though we disagree kind of demeanor. And both these guys, I got to tell you, they were respectful and polite, and I like that. It made me less nervous than seeing Trump and Kamala go at it. But I got to tell you, it still felt like one against three. Did you get that feeling?
Oh, that's exactly what it was. And I've heard quite a few other people saying that they liked the fact that they were like getting along and it was kumbaya and they were lovey dovey. Oh, we're here together. We're in this together. Barry, I'm ready to fight.
Fight, fight,
Uh,
fight. You got to
yeah,
get us.
I'm
We got to
ready.
get
I'm
those
ready to
hats.
see. You know what? I think that's why I like Trump, because this was typical. This debate that just took place, this is the typical debate that most of us are accustomed to. We're used to that, right? We're used to, okay, yeah, I see your point. I see your point. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But this is what we need to do. This, that, this, da. No, no, no. Let's go. We have a country to save. This
Well,
is the
I'll tell you
reason
something.
why so many people like President Trump, because he's not the typical politician. JD, look, JD, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. He's a nice typical politician. I'm just saying it is what it is. President Trump is not. He likes to come out. He likes to get hammers. He likes to get his hands dirty, and that's what we need right now.
100% true. But these are my takeaways, and we can go over them. I think it was really important, Will, that JD came across as a nice guy, because the crap they had been throwing at him, he was literally the devil's cousin.
Hmm.
Um, and he was a weirdo, and he had weird thoughts, and he was like gonna round people up. He was gonna put them on abortion lists. I mean, the stuff and all of a sudden, even women were going, oh, he's a pleasant guy. He's
Yeah,
extremely bright. He's very articulate. And now they're calling him the future of the Republican Party.
yeah, they
I'm
are
talking
saying
about
that
at,
about him.
at the top of the ticket. So
Yeah, they are.
let's go over some of the points.
Let me
Um,
let me add this really quick if I can,
yeah.
to go along with it. Even people who bat for the other team, the sodomite community. There's this dude with this video going viral. He's just loving JD Vance. He's glazing over his eyes and just the way he was carrying himself. It's just really interesting. Yeah, it's. But anyways, beyond that, beyond that, the liberal media, they were angry with JD because he wasn't out there rah 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 rah, and at the same time they're angry with Tim Walz because he wasn't out there rah 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 rah.
Well, that's interesting. So in other words, these guys are nice. Screw them on both
Yeah,
sides,
yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
that.
yeah. They were upset because they got along.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, here's a couple of takeaways. You know, I think JD scored some serious points on some very important issues. One of them, when they talked about Israel, JD Vance said, your regime, your boss, and her boss gave billions of dollars to Iran, and they're spending it on missiles and rockets and the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas, and you did that. And I got to be honest. First of all, it's 100% true. Trump had him in a box for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then Biden goes, well, let me just take all the sanctions off because they promised to be nice. Meanwhile, they're shooting at Americans, they're shooting at Israelis, they're blowing up ships in the Mediterranean through their proxy army. They've launched a massive attack on Israel, and we paid for it. That's a tough one to win if you're Coach Waltz, right?
What was it? Was he coach like of a 8th grade team, football team, or something like that?
That's for kids.
So all of a sudden they call him the coach. You know what? Let me say this: he fumbled the ball.
On that one, he did.
Yeah, he fumbled the ball.
And then
let me say.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me just say this really quick because there's actually a clip of Tim Walz last night basically saying what President Trump did when he put the sanctions on Iran to prevent them from doing what they're doing. President Trump should take that clip and put it into a campaign ad, because Tim Walz, everything he's saying is like, what you're saying is what worked. Like, does he realize what he's saying?
I don't know, because there were a bunch of times where he was literally agreeing, no joke, with the other team, and it was almost like they were running together. And they had slight disagreements. It's like the moderate Democrat and the liberal Democrat. You know what I mean? But they're both Democrats. It almost seemed like that. I think the biggest victory of the night, this is my opinion, I want to hear yours, which is what JD said over and over and over again. You open the border. We've got millions of people here driving up the cost of housing, driving up the cost of food, driving up the cost of energy, eliminating vacancies, eliminating housing. But they're all getting free stuff, and you did it. And there's no answer for that. I mean, Trump is ahead by 60 miles on immigration now. And JD hit that hard, really hard. Don't you agree?
JD Vance. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. JD Vance keeps bringing up saying, look, you have to feel bad for the guy. You have to feel bad for Tim Walz. I mean, really, he's having to defend the undefendable. I mean, you can't. He really,
says you're playing whack-a-mole because every time we bring something up, you got to knock it down, and we got a lot to bring up. Because you know what? Your boss has been in office almost 4 years. It's not like she hasn't had a job. She hasn't had a job.
She's done a terrible job, and he's having to defend her terrible job. So it puts him in a bad position. And this JD Vance keeps bringing it up. Look, it's not his fault. He's out here defending what they did to the country. And how do you defend that?
To defend it. What you going to do? Go, yeah, she really effed this all up. But when she's president, she'll be better than that. That I don't know how you say that. And you know what's interesting? I watched this morning. There were 42 to 44 million people watching. If 1% change their minds because of that debate, 1%, 10% is 4 million, 1% is 400,000. That will change the election. Won't like that much.
Oh yeah,
it'll be that tremendous of a change.
Well, Barry, I'm gonna make a prediction here that Trump is gonna get over 100 million votes. I'm putting it out there right now. I've been saying this.
Well, that doesn't really mean anything because they'll come up with 102 million for Kamala. There'll be more people voting than there are adults in the United States.
Okay. Can we say
the record? And they gave Biden more.
Yeah. I'm saying, can we say legit? Okay, legit. Okay. We'll say legit. I mean, he's gonna get. I'm gonna go ahead because he's already said too big to rig. He said it multiple times, and you know what? He's gonna be right. He's gonna absolutely be right because I've never seen it before. You and I, we've known each other for years now, and I'm pretty sure you're seeing a change, a dramatic change that you've never seen. And you've been in the media business longer than I have. So, and I'm pretty sure that you are seeing a dramatic change that's never taken place. And it's because of what's happened in the past 3.5 years. And I've mentioned this before. President Trump had to be pushed to the side so that the American people could actually understand who's doing what. Because if it was when President Trump was in office, they were told to complain about President Trump. And guess what? They just complained about him because they had jobs, they were making money, the grocery store prices were low, the gas prices were low. So all they had was to complain about Trump because they were told to complain. They didn't have nothing to complain about. Now they actually have reality to complain about.
That was the best thing he said. Fuel prices were lower. They skyrocketed. Food prices were lower. They've skyrocketed. Healthcare, right?
Yep.
Transportation.
Everything
because of this administration. We gotta end this segment on the one line that I can't get out of my mind, and everyone's been talking about it, and I'll just show it. He still can't explain what the hell he meant.
I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time.
Okay, in case you didn't hear it.
That's like a hard end. That's a hard end. I mean, how do we I mean, really, we have to end it on, I mean, come on. I mean, he actually said it twice.
He
actually said it twice.
And yesterday, I think he was at an airport or a bus stop or something where he was on the campaign trail, and they asked him again, and why didn't he just say, I meant to say, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like when they cornered him on China. Well, you weren't there during Tiananmen Square. Well, sometimes I'm a knucklehead. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm stupid.
Yeah.
And, like the Three Stooges, you knucklehead. That's adorable. But not to be vice president, one heartbeat away from president. I got to show it one more time. It just kills me.
I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time.
He was friends. He was friends. And, most people didn't even catch it that he said it. And of course, the moderators, they didn't stop and go, well, you were friends? They most definitely, you know what? They did their jobs. They moved on from that really quick. Really quick, they moved on from that because they didn't want people to see it because it was 3-on-1, just like the debate with President Trump and Kamala Harris.
Now I got to say one more thing. I really have my admiration for J.D. Vance when they started fact checking him, and then they moved on, and he goes, "No, you broke the rules. CBS News said no fact checking. You're fact checking me. I have to correct it." They cut his mic off.
Yes.
They wouldn't let him correct it. And then to make matters worse, Walz's mic wasn't cut off, and he lied and said that bill was from 1999 or something like that when it's brand new. I don't know how many people get into the weeds like we do. But the fact of the matter is, I thought J.D. Vance did a great job there. He was not a wuss about it.
Yeah, he was talking about the CBP1 app. And that's what they were talking about. And J.D. Vance was saying they use the CBP1 app to bring all of these people into the country.
And they were talking about the Haitians.
Yes. Yes. And the moderator said that they brought them in lawfully. No, this was not lawful, because these are people that should not be in the country. So, Barry, really quick, if I can, I actually went up to look up the CBP1 app just to get a little history, if I can, really quick. Yeah. This is what it says. CBP1 was launched of October 28 of 2020, not in the 90s, like Tim Wall said. He already lied there. Primarily to help commercial trucking companies schedule cargo inspections. That's what it's for. To help truckers inspect cargo inspections. In January 23, CBP1 functionality was expanded to include unauthorized immigrants seeking protection. And it says from violence, poverty, and persecution. So they took this app because it was already created and they modified it to expedite these people into the country. That's what
Yeah.
they did.
And those are people taking over apartment buildings at gunpoint, Will Johnson,
Yes, yes, yes.
and maybe eating
And
cats.
you know what? It is part of the custom. It is
I
part of
know.
the custom. It is part of the custom.
All right, we got to move on. This is scary stuff, what I'm about to talk about. There's a report from a very credible source from Special Operations that 9 surface-to-air missiles have been smuggled in through the southern border, which is about as open as your backyard, with the intention of shooting down that plane. And it's gotten, the threat is so real, from what I've been reading, that Trump, in a certain occasions, is moving people between different events on his plane plus commercial as well to confuse whoever has missiles out there. These are supposedly several hit squads, and the report is being circulated. Even the New York Times is reporting there are legitimate sources that these missiles have come into the plane. I don't know how they know the plane is at risk from these missiles, but these missiles have a range up to 5 kilometers. They can hit 4,000 feet at 850 miles an hour. So they are for shooting down a plane on takeoff or on landing when the plane can't maneuver anyway, right? It has to complete whatever maneuver it's in the middle of. Do you know anything about this?
I've heard information about it. And the crazy thing is, Homeland Security, the DOJ, the FBI, CIA, the federal government is completely aware of it. And they were still trying to prevent President Trump from having the security that he needs, that is required to keep him safe. They're deliberately doing this, not only just with the Secret Service, but they're wanting something to happen to him, Barry. I've said this multiple times. They're going to do something between now and November. And this, how long ago did I say this? And you know what? You knew this too. We all knew this. We don't have crystal balls, but we know that they were going to try to attempt to do something. We know that something was going to come about, other than removing them from the ballot, impeaching them, what they did, and, trying to civil suits, fraudulent charges, 34 indictments, felon indictments.
Criminal counts in
Yep,
3
criminal
states,
counts,
in Florida,
assassination attempts.
Georgia, New
Yes,
York.
right. And now we have the port issue along with the storm issue, which again, there's a lot of speculation that, at least as far as the port issue that we're seeing up and down the East Coast of America, that is deliberate. Right. There's speculation that is deliberate because, I mean, really 1 month out before the most important election of this country's history, and this comes about. What happens if it goes on for a month? People don't really think about, if that lasts for a month, what is that going to cause? Now, the people on the West Coast, which, they're probably fine with that, let it happen over on the East Coast, because a lot of those people will support President Trump. So they're not even concerned. That's why they're not even showing up with this storm happening until days later. But yeah,
Scary stuff.
they're not. Yeah, but they're not trying to protect President Trump. They're completely aware of it's happening. And they have satellite images of the southern border. They know what they're bringing across. They know it, or they wouldn't be reporting on it.
Speaking of planes, this is a weird story. There's a magazine called Mother Jones, which is about as left wing as you can get. And the editor in chief, the boss of the publication, went loopy the other day. She was on an Alaska Airlines flight, and the flight attendant came by and wished everyone a blessed day. A really nice thing, have a blessed day. This lady, her name is Clara Jeffrey. Let me show you who I'm talking about here. This is her. She said to use the word blessed is evidence of creeping Christian nationalism in the United States.
Oh my goodness.
Boy, does this woman hate religion enough or what? People went crazy. Even the left-wing Democrats. Get a grip. You're offended that someone blessed you. And then it comes out, they went into her social media and she has all these posts saying, God bless so-and-so, God bless Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, really?
God bless this person, God bless that person. Okay. So in other words, the 20,000 comments on her post, 18,000 were negative. She got 2,000 something likes. Even the, you know, all these papers came out against her. This is not about religion. Just grow up. If someone said that to me, I'd say, thank you. You have a blessed day too. Does that sound like creeping Christian nationalism to you, Will Johnson?
Bless you, Barry. I guess so.
You
know,
you creep. You creeping.
you know, yeah, you know what, Barry? This is the problem, and it all stems from wokeism. They have taken everything that is just polite. It's just being polite. Even, you know, it's not even saying that you have to believe in anything. It's being polite to other people. But they've taken everything and they twisted him like, oh my goodness, how dare you say that? And of course, a lot of people take it as this, they associate it with Christianity, they associate it with God, because you're saying bless somebody. But can we not just get out of our feelings and just say thank you for the, you know, for the well-being of the humanity? I mean, what am I missing here? Right?
Well, it's not just that, the hypocrisy. They're pulling her tweets where she says, bless this person, God bless that person, God
Well,
bless
she's
Nancy
saying, but she's
Pelosi.
talking about liberals, right? She was
What's that
blessed,
about?
like Nancy Pelosi and stuff like that. That's who
Oh
she's talking
yeah,
about,
left-wing
right?
crazies in the
But
Democrat Party. Mother Jones is a way left-wing
right. But
publication. I was going to use another
I'm pretty
word.
sure, yeah, but I'm pretty sure if you say, you know, bless Trump, then she'd be like, oh, how dare you? Then the white nationalism or Christian nationalists come in. And, you know, I've heard that. You know, I actually have on my website, Barry, I actually have t-shirts. They say Christian nationalists.
You should
And
put
they get triggered.
creeping Christian nationalism. And then
Yeah.
you'd really be the enemy of people like this. But
Yeah.
she uses the same words. But if it sounds like it's coming from a company or a group that she doesn't like, then it's bad. But if she uses it, it's fine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you get the double standard there, right?
The hypocrites, 100%.
Yeah, I can't believe anyone buys the paper that she writes. I really can't. Um, speaking of hypocrisy, at the we talked about this guy before at Cornell University, which is supposedly one of the best schools in the country. After the massacre on October 7th, which were only a few days away from the anniversary of that horrendous day, where my family knows a lot of people that died and went to funerals in Israel. There was a professor at Cornell that came out praising the slaughter as exhilarating. And the head of the university said that was inappropriate. So he apologized. And then the university said, as a private citizen in his free time, we've decided not to bar him from teaching. Here's the guy. I want you to see him. This guy belongs in another country. His name is Russell Rickford. That's him. And they just decided to give him back full classroom privileges. And he has now said Hamas had challenged the monopoly of violence and shifted the balance of power. It was exhilarating. It was energizing. But he said he's against anti-Semitism. He's going to be teaching socialism in America in the
Wow.
current term. God, is that a shocker? The president of the school that didn't do anything about him, she resigned because she couldn't control the anti-Semitism on her campus, which is completely out of control. You see what he's standing in front of. The big anti-Zionist sign with the girl in the keffiyeh behind him, looking very exhilarated because Jews were slaughtered in their homes, children, moms, dads, grandparents, not to mention the slaughter at the Nova Music Festival. This guy is despicable. And he's back teaching socialism in America. Isn't that just wonderful?
Yeah, the sad thing is we're not surprised.
Yeah, that's maybe that's the worst part. Can you imagine, just to talk about it in a little different way, change the people he was talking about, but a similar context, like some black kid gets shot. Isn't it great that black kid was murdered? They'd burn the school down.
Yep.
Isn't it great that so-and-so got killed? Take any other ethnicity, and the campus would look like Ukraine after a bombing from Russia, or Hamas after a bombing from Israel. But because he's talking about Jews, he's allowed to have his personal opinion, and he's back in the classroom. And I can imagine what his classroom lectures must sound like. And there are people signing up to be in his class in socialism.
You
It's
know what,
disgusting.
Barry? Yeah, you know, a lot of times when they go back into the classroom like this, they feel empowered, right? They feel like even untouchable. Like I can be as much hateful. I can be as hateful as I want to be. I can push socialism to the brink of no return, and they're embracing it now, because especially if they're putting him back into class. He said, "This is the reason why I'm here, to bring socialism, to convince kids that socialism is good." That's his agenda, right? To teach socialism is good, and not to show how bad it is, and not to show that. I wonder if he's going to show the actual history of all the other nations throughout history that adopted socialism and became communist nations. I wonder if he's going to talk about that, because every last one of them, what happened? They failed. They crumbled. Every last one of them. Not a single one of them was successful. But you know what it is, Barry? This is their thinking. We can do socialism better.
We're smarter than every single country that had it,
Yeah.
of which there are dozens and dozens and dozens.
Yeah, they can do it better.
Yeah, good luck with that. Meanwhile, the anti-Semites back in the campus classroom at Cornell University, and anyone that sends their kids there is an idiot. That's all I can tell you. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Here's a wild one for you, which I didn't know about. There's a congressman that went public with something that the Congress did not want to publicize, which is U.S. taxpayer money has paid out $17 million over the last 10 years to settle sexual harassment, racial, religious, and disability-related discrimination. In other words, staff members brought charges against the congressman, and the Congress paid out $17 million in secret settlements and does not want the list disclosed as to who did what to whom. Now, Trump paid out a settlement for sexual harassment, and that got him criminally charged. The Congress apparently has done it maybe as many as 100 times, and it's a secret. A little bit of a double standard there. Here's Congressman Tom Massie telling the Congress about it.
Congress has paid over $17 million in hush money for sexual misconduct inside of the offices in these buildings. And what's more is that was taxpayer money, right? The allegation is that President Trump paid $130,000 of his own money, But here in Congress, there may be some on this dais. I mean, I'm for turning loose all of these records. Who in here has had the taxpayer pay for their sexual misconduct charges the hush money? I bet there's some over there. There may be some over here. I don't know, but I do know it's taxpayer money, and I do know not a single penny of it has been turned in as a campaign finance expense. Is the FEC going to investigate the $17 million that the Congress has paid to settle, behind closed doors, these sexual misconduct allegations?
By the way, when he finished, you could have heard a pin drop in the hearing room. Nobody wanted to talk about it. I don't know how many settlements that is. Massey doesn't know. He doesn't know the names. It's a secret. Is that nuts?
Yeah, you know what? It really is $17 million. So that we could probably go on a whim and say that the smallest one is payout is probably 50 grand.
Yeah.
Because some people take 50 grand. So, okay, I'll shut up for 50 grand. So you can do 50 grand for how many times out of 17 million? That's quite a few. Someone may go up to, 100, maybe
that's
250.
Using your math,
Depending on the politician.
340 Congress people, men and women, that asked for the slush fund to pay out to protect their reputation and keep it a secret. I think that should be public stuff. I think
it really should be.
That's absolutely disgraceful.
Especially, Barry, especially if we are paying for Capitol Hill P. Diddy party.
There are
that's what it really comes down to. Where the slush fund is for their, what do they call it? The freak off.
Exactly.
Congress freak off.
It says that there are 13 statutes covered under they call it the Congressional Accountability Act. In other words, the Congress should be accountable for its actions secretly and should pay out money secretly to people whose names aren't disclosed and are secret. That's what the law says. And It says that it's unclear how many were sexual harassment, how many people came forward, who it was paid to and why, how many are involved. Everything's a secret. CNN broke the story, believe it or not. And I'm wondering if we're going to ever have a follow-up on this, Will Johnson, to be able to say, here's the list. Here's who was at the Diddy party with staff members. I mean, do you remember a couple years ago, there were two gay guys having sex in the chamber and the video broke? And
that was last year.
Yeah.
That was last year.
And nothing happened.
Yeah. They probably got paid through the slush fund. Slush.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Thank you for reminding me about that. I could have gone the rest of my life without that image in my head again.
I know that and they posted the freaking video.
Yeah. They posted video.
They posted it.
Yeah, because they were in the Senate. They were so happy about it. They posted the video, and then it just went away. But Joe Biden and the Democrats, the whole thing that they were going to bring back to the Capitol Hill, to the White House, to Congress, was decency.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that one. Will Johnson, the Muslim call for mass murder, we've seen it all over the Middle East all the time. I mean, you could pull videos every day, and it's not secret stuff because the people chanting this stuff post it every day. What's really shocking is what I'm going to show you that's from the United States. And they're chanting about Khaybar in Arabic. And in the Quran, the town of Khaybar used to be, in those days, a Jewish village. And Muhammad brags about how he went to the village and slaughtered everybody, tortured them and slaughtered them. They cut their heads off and took their women as sex slaves. So, because they wouldn't convert to Islam. And the chant of K-Bar is a chant for more slaughter of Jews. So I've given you the history lesson from the Quran. Now let me show you the video.
الموت يا إسرائيل! الموت يا إسرائيل! ويجي يا نصر الله! ويجي يا نصر الله! الموت يا إسرائيل!
Make us proud. Bring the occupation down. Yemen, Yemen, make us proud. Turn another ship around. يا حبيب دمر تل أبيب يا نصر الله يا حبيب اضرب فجر تل أبيب
سفرهم طال ونبه الحال سفرهم طال ونبه الحال.
Wow.
That should just shock you out of your pants. That's Dearborn, Michigan. Now, Hassan Nasrallah was the head of Hezbollah, who Israel finally blew up in Beirut a short time ago. He's the one that has been firing a zillion rockets into Israel. Literally something like 10,000 over the last 12 months. Israel never touched Lebanon. They just started firing rockets to support Hezbollah, literally. And they're chanting for the destruction of everyone that lives in Tel Aviv, Israel's largest city. They're chanting to support Yemen, which is burning up ships in the oceans around Yemen with their missiles that have been provided by Iran. And they are waving the Hamas flag and the Hezbollah flag, both of which call for the total death of all Jews and all Christians. And they're chanting again about K-Bar, which is all about the slaughter of Jews by Islam. And that's in Michigan.
Why do you think they're able to get away with doing that? Because that's not free speech. That's actually calling for harm and violence against another group of people. Are they able to get away with it because they're not saying it in English, and the common person, unless they have someone translate it, we would never know what they're saying? Is that the reason why they're able to get away with it, or is it because
don't forget
the media and the government here actually hates Israel as well?
I think it's a little both. I do know that a lot of these Michigan cities are completely run by Muslims who support, I'm talking about the council, the mayors, the representatives who support that viewpoint. I mean, if you don't think there's going to be more violence here, and I'm just being facetious because obviously you know better, I'm talking to our audience, y'all are ignorant. Those people are here, and you can hear the chant, and there were thousands of them at that rally, and that was a couple of days ago. And they're already talking about October 7th in New York City. They're going to flood the streets with Hezbollah and Hamas flags to commemorate and honor the slaughter that took place a year ago. Can you imagine being Jewish and living in New York City and watching that? It's like Nazis in 1944 marching down the street in New York saying, slaughter the Jews again, kill more of them, go Hitler. It's literally the same thing. There's no difference.
Yeah. It really is. But the thing is, today, you have people joining in that say that they're against violence. You have people joining in that say they want to be inclusive. You have people joining in that said that they're all happy and we all should just get along. Like I just mentioned, being inclusive, but they're doing this and they say nothing. You know what, Barry? You brought up a good point a minute ago. If these were a group of white people and they were out there chanting about doing the same thing to black people, oh, NAACP, ACLU, CNN, all of them, MSNBC, all of them. Oh my goodness, do you hear this? They must be mega extremists. We told you they were this way. See, they don't have any videos of that happening, but it's okay when you do it to Jewish people. Why is that?
I wish I had an explanation. I don't. Because you're right. You can't even imagine in your wildest dreams. Kill black people. Let's rally for lynchings.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
That's literally what they're saying. That's
Yeah.
literally what they're saying.
Yeah.
Right?
But because
There's-
but because they're targeting Jewish people, the Jewish community, oh, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. They're just exercising their free speech.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the next story. There's a state representative in Stamford, Connecticut. I want to show you her picture. Her name is Annabelle Figueroa. This is her. There was an election about 6 weeks ago, and she said in an interview, talking about her opponent in the race, quote, "We cannot permit a person who is of Jewish origin to represent our community. It's impossible." And she went on and on and on and on. Her opponent, obviously Jewish, a guy named Jacobson, ran against her. He ended up winning by 25 points. So the town did not support her. The Democrat Party came out and said, quote, "Her words are her own and there's no missing context. Anyone can hear and see for themselves. She not only used this abhorrent language, but she continues to do so." So the Democrat Party endorsed somebody else, the Jacobson fellow, who had won a special election. And so she decided that she would go after this guy and say things like he's against people of Spanish origin, he doesn't like their gardening, and this crazy stuff. But the thing that got her national attention was, "You can't vote for my opponent. It's impossible. He's a Jew."
Oh, wow.
So they're going to kick her out of the party for what she said about Jonathan Jacobson, the guy that beat her. Her best friend and spokesperson, after she lost the election, the special election, said that, "I understand what Annabelle was talking about because Mr. Jacobson wanted to pass a law that was detrimental to our landscapers. And the majority of landscapers are Latinos." That was their sort of justification for their wild anti-Semitism. But bless Stamford, Connecticut for standing up for decency and humanity in the face of this rampant anti-Semitism, at least in that county, or I should say that city. It's a small city in Connecticut. They knew right from wrong.
Is that city typically blue?
Way blue. Extremely blue.
So I think they have another motive for making her step down or replacing her. I don't be honest with you, Barry. I don't believe any Democrats actually support Jewish people or Israel, period. And the reason why I say that, because they want the Jewish community to pour money into them. and you're going to hurt that finances, that money, that campaign money coming into our party. So we have to sit. We're going to use you as an example and remove you. Let me give you another example of the reason why I say that, because you have Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. They came out when they won. After they won, they were just at the forefront. They screamed it, they yelled it, how much they hated Israel, apartheid, how we need to get rid of them, they're occupiers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What did Nancy Pelosi and them do? We need for you to sign this little document to say that you won't say this anymore. Not that we disagree with you, you just need to sign this because we need to act like we're doing something here to fight against it. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust not a single one of them.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one. Because I don't know what happened to the Democrat Party, but it fell off a cliff. It truly
Yeah,
did.
it really has. It really has.
As the fact checking should be getting more energetic the closer we get to November in the election, it's come out that Kamala Harris in the debate with Trump said, I'm a gun owner, I'm in favor of Second Amendment rights and so on. There's a video I saw this morning when I was writing up these points where Kamala Harris, not recently, but when she was running for district attorney or attorney general in California, I think she was already the district attorney. She was running for attorney general. Told a group of reporters, let me just read it to you. She drafted a new law about storing your firearms in your home. And she said, quote, we're going to require responsible behaviors among everybody in the community. And just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs, unquote. Now, for those of you that think I'm misquoting, I watched the video this morning. I didn't put it up today because it's a little bit hazy, but you can see what she's saying, and it's in front of a group of reporters. And what she's basically saying is the Constitution, in regards to the Second Amendment and other amendments about unreasonable searches and seizures, don't apply because she wants to send the troops in to see your gun, even if you're a law-abiding citizen and haven't broken any law. That's the quote I just read you.
Yeah. You know where she's getting that from? You know where else is doing that currently today?
Tell me.
Australia. Australia is doing the exact same thing what she was talking about. Because Australia,
if you have a legal gun, they're going to come into your home and just let me see your gun, let me check out your house.
Yes. CNN did a report about it. This was when Trump was in office, and they liked the idea so much. CNN made a trip to Australia, and they were doing a report on it, showing how people had weapons in their homes. They were registered weapons with the government, and the government had every right to come in there because they passed a law in Australia to come in and verify your weapons, make sure that you have them locked up. And I think there was like some other regulations and rules for when you can pull them out, when you can't pull them out. It's just really bizarre. And at the same time, Australia, they did a mandatory buyback. Remember that? Australia did a mandatory buyback, and Kamala Harris has been screaming it for the exact same thing, a mandatory buyback. And we need to be able to come into your home to see that you have them stored properly. Now, remember, she just said in the debate that if you are not in a debate with Oprah Winfrey, that if you come in my home, you're liable to get shot. So she's able to have her weapon, which I don't believe that she has, but she's saying she's able to have her weapon ready at any moment to handle any intruder that comes into her home. But the rest of you have to have them locked up to allow the intruders that they're probably importing into the country, mind you, to be able to come into your home, and you can't do anything about it to stop them. You just need to allow them to come in and do whatever it is they want to do to you and your family. And if I can bring this up really quick too, in the debate between Tim Walz and JD Vance, Tim Walz says that Kamala Harris is a hunter. So
Yeah,
she says that they're
thank
both
you.
gun
I
owners.
heard that. I don't believe that for a millisecond.
What has she ever hunted? I mean, really, where's the pictures? I know. She was hunting at the fry station in the McDonald's that she was working at.
Or she
Which
was hunting
today
in the Democrat,
Snoop's
or she was hunting in the Democrat Party, wink, 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 for someone to help her move up the ladder, so to speak.
Oh, of course. You know, I'm pretty sure somebody bought some stocks in some. No, I'm not gonna even say that. But I started to say something pretty bad, inappropriate. But
Well, I do want to get to this story.
okay,
We mentioned earlier about Tim Walz, and there was no fact checking. There was, with the exception of, you really weren't in China. We know that. With that exception, they really didn't do much. Let's take a little look at what it is that could have been mentioned about Tim Walz. This is an extraordinary video, courtesy of Fox News. CBS didn't mention any of this, so Fox put it together.
Progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. The more police are there, the more tension it is. Protecting and supporting access to gender-affirming health care is essential. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. We saw large, peaceful protests focusing on the systemic changes.
Those were the great days, 2020, right? Kamala Harris picked a so-called moderate as a running mate. But based on his own words, it looks like she handed progressives a huge victory, and they seem to be celebrating now. Let's see why they're celebrating. Let's take a look at his track record as governor. First, under his leadership in Minnesota, they rolled out state-subsidized health care for legal immigrants. Free schooling, free food, free shelter, free licenses. Why wouldn't they stay? Why wouldn't they come? Signed the law making Minnesota a sanctuary for children seeking gender-affirming care. So maybe without even telling their parents, they can go there. There was one scene of parents with a 6-year-old saying that this male really wanted to be a female. Good luck with that. Signed a law making abortion a fundamental right. In fact, 5 infants were born alive in 2021 during failed abortions, and none were provided life-saving care to get comfort care in their final minutes alive. And they pushed lengthy school closures and set up a hotline. When everybody tried to open up the schools and push back on the unions, he kept them closed. And he set up a hotline to make sure neighbors could report neighbors if they were breaking any of the protocols.
They didn't mention any of that, did they, Will?
of course not.
This guy is not a moderate.
No.
Coach Walz is way left of Kamala Harris. I mean, free health care for illegals, free sex changes for illegals. You build a 25-foot wall, I'll invest in a 30-foot ladder.
Yeah.
I I would have loved that quote to be asked to him by CBS.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. They wouldn't have done that. You know what I don't understand, Barry, is why are all these debates on liberal media outlets? Why are they all on liberal media outlets?
It's simple. It's simple because Trump wanted to do one, and JD Vance wanted to do one, and the Democrats refused to go on Fox or Newsmax, or we're not going to debate. And remember, there was a debate set up on Fox, and Kamala Harris canceled it.
Yeah, she canceled it
And the
because
vice presidential debate, there was an invitation from Fox, and they said no.
so Kamala Harris has been screaming about another debate. Why don't she do it on Fox?
If, honest to goodness, if I was Trump, you know what I would say? Fox News will do it, and we'll show up. She won't.
Yeah, he's already mentioned it, saying that if we have one on Fox News, he said I'll probably do that one. And because I know they were talking about on Fox News and having, I forget the two people that they were suggesting that would moderate it on Fox News. It would be Brett and I forget the other lady.
Martha McCallum, I believe.
Yes, And President Trump said no to both of them. They're liberal. They're totally liberal, Barry. They're if nothing else, they're straight up rhinos. And President Trump, live on the air, he was I forget what the name of the show was, but he was on there and they were saying having them do it, and President Trump immediately said, nope, not them, not them. He said I would do one, but it wouldn't be with them.
Interesting. Well, you see what they could have asked. You see what we would have asked, but none of that got asked. And most Americans don't know about it. They just don't. I don't know what's,
and you know what?
I don't know what's being put on commercials now, but some of those quotes ought to be in commercials, you know?
Yeah, really. Well, actually, there was a football. I don't know what football game it was. I don't watch football, not like I used to.
Uh-oh. Just lost the feed.
Huh?
I lost you for a second.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay. You've heard it. You've heard of the Breakfast Club, right?
Sure.
So Charlemagne on there, they were talking about this ad that President Trump ran during a football game while he was watching football. And it showed how Kamala Harris want to have sex changes for prisoners and illegals. You and I, we've talked about it. Well, he was shocked to see it. I'm like, what do you mean you're shocked to see it? This is not new news. Yeah, you see, you're going like, what? How's he shocked? And he was like, he said it was a very effective ad because he was like, I had no idea that she wanted to take taxpayer dollars and pay for transgender sexual surgery for prisoners and illegals. He said, I had no idea. And they're showing the picture and they're playing the video in the ad of her actually saying it. And he was like, they played it during a football game. So they prevent people, just like you were showing with the reason why I bring it up, because you show the Tim Walz, and a lot of people don't know about it. You just said it. They didn't know this about Kamala Harris until they saw it in a campaign ad during a football game. And that's the reason why they didn't bring it up during a debate, because they don't want people to know the truth.
Well, that's obvious because everything we just talked about is his own words. It's not like we made it up. We showed the video.
Yes,
exactly. We're going to finish with what happened in Israel. Iran fired 200 ballistic missiles. These are the big ones. Very difficult to shoot down. They come in at hellacious speeds from over 1,500, 1,600 kilometers away. 181 made it to Israel. 19 either blew up in Iran or landed elsewhere like Syria or Jordan or in the ocean. I want you to see how Palestinians in Israel were reacting. This will show you why peace with these people is impossible. Look at the size of that, and that's half of it blown up in the outer atmosphere. They're celebrating like crazy. Out of all the 181 missiles that made it to Israel, One person died. One of those celebrants at that party was in the street right behind it. And I have a video of what happened to him. Kind of reminds me of the Wile E. Coyote cartoons chasing the Roadrunner, and things would fall out of the sky and smush him. They were out celebrating, and in the background you can see the other people running away. That's the only death. I don't know how it was possible that 200 high atmosphere ballistic missiles carrying enormous payloads, many of which did hit in Israel, no deaths except that one guy. The Israelis
Wow.
are calling it an act of God.
Wow. Wow.
One of those enormous missiles landed about a kilometer away from where a family member of mine was in a bomb shelter, and the whole building shook. It missed the apartment by about a kilometer.
Wow. I've heard reports where Iran is saying this attack was victory for them, even though they didn't. And it said it didn't even do any severe damage, but they're saying it was victory for them. And it's all
Well,
propaganda. It's
of course it's
propaganda,
all-
the reason why they're saying it.
Of course it is. And now the big question is, as you and I have talked about, what's going to happen. President Biden has told Israel they're not allowed to take out Iran's nuclear facilities where they're building bombs, and everybody knows it. Right now, the Biden White House is telling Israel how they're allowed to respond, which is outrageous. Each one of those missiles hitting an apartment building would have killed 1,000 people. One.
Yeah, easily.
Just one. You see how big they are. That was half the rocket. They are humongous ballistic missiles. I don't understand, maybe I do, what's wrong with the Biden White House, why they would restrain Israel from protecting themselves. Maybe it's the election, as you said. Maybe it's because they just hate Israel.
I think because they hate Israel.
Hate to end on that. I like better news at the end, but I wanted everyone to see it. And the poetic justice at the end was rather interesting. Out celebrating the death of Israelis, or so they thought, and he's the one that got smushed.
Yeah.
What can I say? Well, thank you very much. We will see you next week. Same time, same channel. I appreciate you very much, and I appreciate our audience very much. Remember, findberry.com. Sign up for everything for free, or go to Unite America First, and you'll get all of Will Johnson. Same thing. He always gives you the content for free, just like we do. For now, we'll see you next week.